Hey kids, this is Pulse Ray Vision coming to you live from Cuatro Cinco Studios in my mom's basement. And last night we stayed up and we played a very cool first part of the prequel to Rings of Dust called The First Spark. And it's pretty haunting and enveloping and it's pretty amazing. So if you haven't seen that, go back to the previous live stream where you can see that prequel. We're actually jumping a couple of chapters ahead to chapter 4, where we're just going to do a regular talk to text of chapter 4 because I'm going to listen to this. We're going to give I'll give my notes and ideas to Claude. Then Claude's going to arrange the book. Sometimes it has to go further back in the book to add things, or before to foreshadow and connect things. Really doing an amazing job of helping me manage the rewriting of Rings of Dust and incorporating some of the better parts of the previous versions of the book that I really liked, that I was sad to see go when we started renovating it, rewriting it. So that's what we're going to do. First, I'll obviously go to YouTube here and I'll share those links. Copy that. And I hope you guys are all having a wonderful weekend, whatever's going on, wherever you're doing. I hope that it's relaxing. We actually have some F1 action going on. Post that. Here we go. Enter. There we go. And I'll just say live with chapter 4. There we go. And then also, I'm going to say read the live, not working title, what's it called? Working desktop, working. I'll just pull up here my working draft. Yeah. Read the live working draft at this Telegram link right here. If you guys are already in our Telegram, t.me/anti-gravity saga. It doesn't have a name. It says 2019, I believe. There we go. Copy link. Boom. Control V. Boom. Yeah, so you guys can read the live working draft there. I've got that all set up with the YouTube, the X broadcast. Chapter. There we go. We'll post that there, and then we're going to go over to our Telegram already, and we're going to paste this in Rings of Dust book right there. Oh wait, no, that didn't recopy the YouTube link. Let me recopy the YouTube link. There we go. YouTube there. We'll put this in the general as well. Okay, so we should be good to go now. What we're going to do is we're going to open up the talk to text here. Share this, share my screen, share my audio. There we go. So now we got the infinite screen right here. I'll just take myself down here in the corner. We got Retro Stack in the house. Good day. Is the sun out? Because I can see the guns are out. I was actually talked into going and playing pickleball by Hexray Chick this morning, so I went and yeah, not good at pickleball, but I did have fun with some friends out there. So thank you, Retrostatic, for recognizing the lovely physique of of a crypto founder. All right, yeah, guns. All right, so we're gonna open up this screen right here, This is going to be our talk to text. I'm actually going to get this a little bit bigger so you can see it. So here's chapter 4, Rings of Dust. This takes us into Cole and his where he's gone for the last 5 years after the big destruction. We read the big destruction many times here, the first chapter, many times on stream, and I'm sure we'll play it on stream, or once we get the audiobook finished, we'll release that as well in Telegram and on X, so you guys can hear that read by someone other than me probably. But let's find a good voice here. Let's see, Control Shift U. Should pull up a talk to text here. Let's try that again. Maybe that's not it. Let me check with, maybe it's Control Shift H. I'll tell you right now. Yep. There we go. Oh, it's setting up stuff in GitHub for the live working draft. Okay, good news, blah, blah, blah. Push all commits, post the link in Telegram group. What's the username? Oh. That's the username right there. No, that's not right. Post link in the Telegram group, Rings of Dust. Oh, there we go. It's asking for a username. What username? And I'll also say, what is the command for text to speech and Edge? There we go. Now it's thinking your GitHub username, the handle on GitHub, like GitHub, blah, 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 your name, what shows up in the URL of any repo you create. Okay, let's go to our repo here on GitHub. And it is ATOG Max. Right there. Copy that. Paste that. There we go. You can click anywhere and select read aloud, or, oh yeah, it does say it's Control Shift U. I think that's what I was pushing. Let's try this again. Go back here. Go back here. Control Shift U. Maybe I have to go like this. Control Shift U. Well, maybe it's loading it for a second. Oh, this is how I did last time. Okay, so more tools, read aloud. It says Control Shift U. That's what I hit. Oh well.
Chapter for the morning.
Whoa, that was really loud. My ears. Sorry about that. Let's do this. Voice prompts. Let's find a good voice that we like. I'm not crazy about Andrew right there. Let's see here. English United States. I think the one I listened to last time was pretty good. And you can slow it down a little bit too if it's too fast. Let's try Onyx. Nope, it's not doing that one well. Here we go.
Rings of Dust chapter for the morning light filtered through the tall pines.
Yeah, that one's not working very well either. We're gonna have to write one down when we find a good one. Nova Turbo. Multilingual online. I don't think we want the multilingual. Natural. Online Natural English US. Brian. Let's see what Brian sounds like.
Pines, casting dappled light on the forest floor.
Yeah, it's nicer, but it's still a little too young. We'll try it again. We'll do it with Brian. We'll listen to chapter 4 with Brian. There we go.
Rings of Dust chapter for the morning light filtered through the tall pines, casting dappled light on the forest floor. Cole hefted his old axe over his head and split the last log round. The splitting crack was subdued due to the early spring moisture. Cole's breath clouded in the crisp air. The soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of a mountain jay seemed unbothered by this early morning habit. He paused, straightening to scan the treeline. Warm light burst through a gently swaying thicket of pine needles. The low sun cast a hard, angular light as it peeked over the granite peak just east of his cabin. His eyes were intense and watchful. His age, or was it his pain, was increasingly apparent. As he approached the cabin where Oldwood met New Tech, he rubbed his hands together and let out a sudden and glorious howl. Then, just as before, he continued to the comfort of home. The door creaked open and Bitboy groaned. The firelight from inside flickered on Bitboy's brown and white fur, catching the streaks of auburn as he scurried over to Cole. His mechanical limbs hummed softly as he reached around Cole's thighs, and the poor monkey sighed in obvious discomfort. One of Bitboy's arms reached out, tugging at Cole's sleeve, guiding him to the warmth. Cole knelt by the fireplace. Bitboy watched his friend add a freshly cut log to the fire through his delirium. The sap began to boil, and the moisture hissed from the wood until it was dry enough to burn. Bitboy's eyes reflected the dancing flames. The scent of pine mingled with the earthy aroma of the fire, filling the cabin with a comforting fragrance. Cole's fingers brushed against Bitboy's fur. The warmth of the fire seeped into his skin, a stark contrast to the morning chill. Outside, the high Sierra Nevadas loomed. Cole softened as he looked at Bitboy. He felt deep gratitude for the unlikely companionship. The morning light, the serene forest, and the warmth of the fire blended into a moment of quiet reflection. And quote, "You little bastard," and quote, Cole said. And quote, "What do you have?" And quote, as if dropping a 1-gallon glass bottle of ethanol next to an open fire would obliterate his wrongdoing, Bitboy did just that. Rolled on his back and forced all 6 limbs into the air like a dead bug. With a brilliant puff, Cole's expectation of a relaxing day went up in flames, along with the lingering fumes from a well-finished bottle that should have lasted the damned monkey at least a few days. Cole blamed the Federation. Their quest to re-engineer life had ended in almost complete failure. Other than Bitboy, no other monsters had made it past a year. It turned out that attempting to craft a weapon with the learning capacity of a human but devoid of moral complexities, a creature entirely expendable, was a terrible idea. Now Cole was the unwilling father of a junkie with forearms containing a network of metal rods, which themselves acted as the unholy foundation for retractable steel blades. Bitboy's upgraded form required ethanol not as a vice but as a vital power source for these and other mechanical augmentations. Even with its enhancements, his primal brain lacked the discipline to moder it. Ethanol was akin to ambrosia to him, fueling his strength, sharpening his intellect, and enhancing his agility, making it irresistible. His inability to self-regulate his consumption posed a risk of overindulgence to the point of shutdown. Meanwhile, the world outside grappled with a crisis of its own. The airwaves carried the manufactured accent belonging only to news anchors. And quote, "Good morning, California. This is Rachel Vase for Public Square News. The energy crisis, which has left millions struggling from resource scarcity and power outages, may finally be seeing a solution." During the opening day of Defying Gravity 2041, Innovations in Combating the Energy Crisis, the tech titan Alpha Corporation promised a long-term solution. Although initial disappointment stemmed from the keynote speaker's disappearance, A corp defied the gravity of the situation by announcing that new energy-efficient implants would be available on a subscription basis. More on the disappearance of 43-year-old Dr. Stephen Conrad tonight at 10. End quote. Cole reached for the remote, the vibrant escapism of silence. BitBoy returned from a meandering trip to the kitchen and, with snacks in hand, sat in wonder at the crackling fire and the boiling, spitting sap. Cole cracked open a beer on his way to the medicine cabinet. If selling second-hand Federation tech on the black market had been a rich man's game, BitBoy's thirst and the price of naloxone E kept Cole distant from a golden throne. While walking back to the warmth of the living room, Cole pulled his phone from his pocket and searched for, and quote, heavy hitter, and quote, in his contact list, and quote, I need you to walk me through it again. I have the shot, but what's the rest? End quote. Cole asked. End quote. It's a good thing I'm about there then, isn't it? End quote. Ricardo replied. End quote. Hell will freeze over. Sharon will marry me. Heck, Emily will get cured. All before you drag your ass out here after 7 years, end quote. Cole said. End quote. I know, end quote. Ricardo replied. End quote. I'm under strict orders to keep this conversation analog. I'll be there in about an hour. End quote. End quote. Orders? And here I thought you were coming to visit an old friend or, better yet, to pick up your damn pet. End quote. End quote. I have a 30 rack of Natty Light, end quote. Ricardo said. End quote. That's a start, end quote. Cole replied. End quote. But BitBoy and I don't drink anymore. We're watching our figures. End quote. End quote. Come on, man, end quote. Ricardo insisted. End quote. Just one beer. End quote. End quote. Your trouble hitter, end quote. Cole said. End quote. Just one beer. End quote. With the naloxone in hand, Cole turned his attention from the phone to BitBoy, who was lost in the dance of the flames and snacks. The glow of the fire cast shadows across Cole's aging face. He knew what came next was a delicate balance between saving BitBoy and pushing him to the brink. End quote. All right, buddy, end quote. Cole said. End quote. Just a short prick, end quote. BitBoy, sensing the shift in Cole's demeanor, turned, his eyes narrowing in confusion and then widening in understanding. An unwelcome word came from BitBoy's arms, and the blades peeked out. There was a moment of understanding even a junkie monkey could grasp, and BitBoy fell willingly, yet tense, into Cole's arms. With a gentle touch, Cole injected the naloxone. The room held its breath as the solution coursed through BitBoy's veins. His breathing steadied to a rhythm reclaimed from chaos. Cole let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding, and relief washed over him as BitBoy's eyes flickered with clarity. End quote. I'm gonna just toss you out in the snow next time, end quote. Cole said. End quote. Do you understand me, monkey? End quote. A quiet settled between them, broken only by the occasional pop and hiss from the fire. BitBoy, lucid but weakened, leaned into Cole, and Cole draped an arm around BitBoy. As they sat in the warmth of the living room, Cole's gaze drifted into the fire. The crisp air filled Ricardo's government-issued SUV with a scent of pine and dust. A nearby stream babbled its way through the valley. He handled the winding country road carelessly like only a pilot could. The unmistakable sound of tires on a dirt road was amplified for miles around the cabin. The sound of a single car was a rarity. The rumbling of the two approaching the cabin was cause for concern. Gravel crunched under the tires as Ricardo pulled into the driveway. Before him stood a single A-frame cabin. Ricardo chugged the last of a lukewarm energy drink. Cole cracked the front door and winced at the bright sunlight dazzling across the numerous pines with their dusting of snow. His eyes scanned the environment before settling his sight on his visitor. End quote. Hey Nova, I hope you don't mind. I let myself pass the gate, end quote. Ricardo said. Ricardo was the embodiment of the world Cole left behind. A Federation man through and through. With his height and girth, he filled his fatigues just enough to accentuate massive arms and shoulders while leaving room in the midsection to hide his growing gut. Next to his large body, he carried a heavy black briefcase, and he looked like a fourth grader with a lunch pail. End quote. You didn't get past anything, end quote. Cole said. End quote. I clocked you on the gate's camera and buzzed you in. End quote. End quote. Always have to be the winner, Nova? End quote. End quote. Just works out that way, hitter. My sister and girlfriend will be here soon. Behave? End quote. Ricardo joined Cole on the wraparound porch and clasped his large hands around Cole's shoulders. The two men looked into each other for only a moment, and the years between them melted away. Cole grunted and patted Ricardo away from their friendly embrace. End quote. Bitboy is by the fireplace, end quote. Cole said. End quote. Go on and take a look. I'm going to wait for the girls, end quote. Ricardo pulled a beer from the pouch pocket on his jacket and cracked it open with a crispness that echoed off the granite walls around them. Then, from another pocket, he retrieved another and tossed it to Cole before disappearing into the cabin. The sound of another vehicle crept closer and closer. Cole waved them over when Sharon and Emily finally arrived in a puff of dust. Both women jumped from the van to stretch the long drive from their slender bodies. Cole slowly opened his beer with a hiss instead of a crack and quickly drank a giant's share. He watched Sharon and sent an effortlessly booming whistle through the quiet valley around them. End quote. Hold your damn horses, end quote. Sharon said. End quote. Some of us give our bodies love from time to time. End quote, end quote. Put on a few pounds, end quote. Ricardo's voice carried from inside the house, end quote. And I'd take care of that for you, end quote. Emily turned red and wide-eyed, which brought out her innocent beauty. Cole, on the other hand, closed the door. End quote. Girls, we have a visitor, end quote. Cole said. End quote. I'd like you to meet Bitboy's deadbeat dad. This disgusting pervert is heavy hitter, end quote. Still outside, the three embraced until Emily squirmed out to allow Cole and Sharon a moment of affection. Cole and Sharon absorbed each other. Cole's hands wrapped around Sharon's lower back, and he lifted her into a longing kiss. With her back turned, Emily did her best to pretend she wasn't intruding at that moment. End quote. How'd she do? End quote. Cole asked in a soft tone that sounded like a secret. Emily rounded the corner and continued to pretend she wasn't there. Through a lifetime of practice, she had become skilled at feeling invisible. End quote. Cole, honey, end quote. Sharon looked up into his eyes, end quote. She was incredible. She'll rule the world once she figures out how capable she is, end quote. End quote. I'm glad to hear it, end quote. Cole said, end quote. But what happened to the guy if it went so well? End quote. End quote. The guy? End quote. Emily said, popping her head around a nearby corner. End quote. What guy? End quote. End quote. Your contactee, end quote. Cole said, end quote, you obviously got the tech. But what happened to Dr. Conrad? End quote. End quote. Babe, end quote. Sharon said, end quote. You must be more specific. Stephen was a bit of a mess. He gave us this whole doom prediction and this memory stick. Other than that, it mostly went down as expected, end quote. Sharon handed Cole the van keys and both women stood silent. Cole held the memory drive, rubbing his thumb across the hull of the figurine. The repetitive motion left a dark silver stain on his skin. End quote. He was weird, okay, end quote. Emily said, end quote. But nice too. He said to tell you there is a lock for every key, end quote. Raising her hands in confusion, end quote. So neither of you know where he went? End quote. The women looked at each other and shook their heads. End quote. Okay. Well, he's missing. Take every beat.
Okay, I apologize for the end quote, end quote, end quote, and I figured out what is wrong with it. So now I'm going to reopen it here. Let's see, Control O. I'm gonna open it right here. Okay, so this one should be fixed. This one, we're gonna get rid of that one We're gonna come back to this one. Now we'll do the toxic test. Read aloud.
The morning light filtered through the tall pines.
Okay. And we're gonna
The
skip down
door
to where we
creaked
were.
open and BitBoy groaned. The firelight from inside flickered on BitBoy's brown and
Let's go
white
back
fur,
to the part where
catching the
talking
streaks of
again here.
auburn as he scurried over to. I need you to walk me through it again. I have the shot. But what's the rest? Cole asked. It's a good thing I'm about there then. Isn't it? Ricardo replied. Hell will freeze over. Sharon will marry me. Heck, Emily will get Curita Euro, all before you drag your ass out here after 7 years. Cole said. I know. Ricardo replied. I'm under strict orders to keep this conversation analog. I'll be there in about an hour. Orders? And here I thought you were coming to visit an old friend or, better yet, to pick up your damn pet. I have a 30 rack of Natty Light, Ricardo said. That's a start, Cole replied. But BitBoy and I don't drink anymore. We're watching our figures. Come on, man, Ricardo insisted. Just one beer. Your trouble, hitter, Cole said. Just one beer. With the naloxone in hand, Cole turned his attention from the phone to BitBoy, who was lost in the dance of the flames and snacks. The glow of the fire cast shadows across Cole's aging face. He knew what came next was a delicate balance between saving BitBoy and pushing him to the brink. All right, buddy, Cole said. Just a short prick. BitBoy, sensing the shift in Cole's demeanor, turned, his eyes narrowing in confusion and then widening in understanding. An unwelcome word came from BitBoy's arms, and the blades peeked out. There was a moment of understanding even a junkie monkey could grasp, and BitBoy fell willingly, yet tense, into Cole's arms. With a gentle touch, Cole injected the naloxone. The room held its breath as the solution coursed through BitBoy's veins. His breathing steadied to a rhythm reclaimed from chaos. Cole let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding, and relief washed over him as BitBoy's eyes flickered with clarity. I'm going to just toss you out in the snow next time, Cole said. Do you understand me, monkey? A quiet settled between them, broken only by the occasional pop and hiss from the fire. BitBoy, lucid but weakened, leaned into Cole, and Cole draped an arm around BitBoy. As they sat in the warmth of the living room, Cole's gaze drifted into the fire. The crisp air filled Ricardo's government-issued SUV with a scent of pine and dust. A nearby stream babbled its way through the valley. He handled the winding country road carelessly like only a pilot could. The unmistakable sound of tires on a dirt road was amplified for miles around the cabin. The sound of a single car was a rarity. The rumbling of the two approaching the cabin was cause for concern. Gravel crunched under the tires as Ricardo pulled into the driveway. Before him stood a single A-frame cabin. Ricardo chugged the last of a lukewarm energy drink. Cole cracked the front door and winced at the bright sunlight dazzling across the numerous pines with their dusting of snow. His eyes scanned the environment before settling his sight on his visitor. Hey, Nova, I hope you don't mind. I let myself pass the gate, Ricardo said. Ricardo was the embodiment of the world Cole left behind. A Federation man through and through. With his height and girth, he filled his fatigues just enough to accentuate massive arms and shoulders while leaving room in the midsection to hide his growing gut. Next to his large body, he carried a heavy black briefcase, and he looked like a fourth grader with a lunch pail. You didn't get past anything, Cole said. I clocked you on the gate's camera and buzzed you in. Always have to be the winner. Nova? Just works out that way, hitter. My sister and girlfriend will be here soon. Behave. Ricardo joined Cole on the wraparound porch and clasped his large hands around Cole's shoulders. The two men looked into each other for only a moment, and the years between them melted away. Cole grunted and patted Ricardo away from their friendly embrace. BitBoy is by the fireplace, Cole said. Go on and take a look. I'm going to wait for the girls. Ricardo pulled a beer from the pouch pocket on his jacket and cracked it open with a crispness that echoed off the granite walls around them. Then, from another pocket, he retrieved another and tossed it to Cole before disappearing into the cabin. The sound of another vehicle crept closer and closer. Cole waved them over when Sharon and Emily finally arrived in a puff of dust. Both women jumped from the van to stretch the long drive from their slender bodies. Cole slowly opened his beer with a hiss instead of a crack and quickly drank a giant's share. He watched Sharon and sent an effortlessly booming whistle through the quiet valley around them. "Hold your damn horses," Sharon said. "Some of us give our bodies love from time to time. Put on a few pounds," Ricardo's voice carried from inside the house. "And I'd take care of that for you." Emily turned red and wide-eyed, which brought out her innocent beauty. Cole, on the other hand, closed the door. "Girls, we have a visitor," Cole said. "I'd like you to meet BitBoy's deadbeat dad. This disgusting pervert is heavy hitter." Still outside, the three embraced until Emily squirmed out to allow Cole and Sharon a moment of affection. Cole and Sharon absorbed each other. Cole's hands wrapped around Sharon's lower back, and he lifted her into a longing kiss. With her back turned, Emily did her best to pretend she wasn't intruding at that moment. "How'd she do?" Cole asked in a soft tone that sounded like a secret. Emily rounded the corner and continued to pretend she wasn't there. Through a lifetime of practice, she had become skilled at feeling invisible. "Cole, honey?" Sharon looked up into his eyes. She was incredible. She'll rule the world once she figures out how capable she is. "I'm glad to hear it," Cole said. "But what happened to the guy if it went so well?" "The guy," Emily said, popping her head around a nearby corner. What guy?" "Your contact E," Cole said. "You obviously got the tech. But what happened to Dr. Conrad?" "Babe," Sharon said. "You must be more specific. Steven was a bit of a mess. He gave us this whole doom prediction and this memory stick. Other than that, it mostly went down as expected." Sharon handed Cole the van keys, and both women stood silent. Cole held the memory drive, rubbing his thumb across the hull of the figurine. The repetitive motion left a dark silver stain on his skin. "He was weird, okay," Emily said. "But nice too. He said to tell you there is a lock for every key." Raising her hands in confusion. "So neither of you know where he went?" The women looked at each other and shook their heads. "Okay. Well, he's missing," Cole said. "Didn't even show up for his speech. Thought maybe you had all run off together." "How should we know where he went?" Emily said. "Is that something we should know?" Cole shook his head and opened the door. The smell of bacon and pancakes caressed them inside. "Who's hungry?" Ricardo said. "Looks like these Deegans have been partying all night Euro for like years. And from the van and sweatpants, I'd bet you girls could use a meal." BitBoy lay in agony next to the dying fire. Ricardo's case sat open on the table next to several accoutrements. Sharon added a small jar between the butter and a container of organic maple syrup. Cole set down his empty beer can and reached for the case Ricardo had brought with him. He unpacked the stomach pump from within it and saw Emily holding BitBoy with the care of a nurturing mother. Cole wondered where she learned that as he tiptoed toward the two. He kneeled and nodded to Emily. They transferred BitBoy to Cole's firm embrace, and BitBoy nuzzled into Cole's chest. Emily slid the tip of her finger under BitBoy's chin. She gently pressed up until their eyes met, and BitBoy went limp with safety. Cole gently slid the long tube down the macaque's throat as the poor animal twitched in discomfort layered on pain. The device hummed to life, pulling putrid sludge up with every beat. As it worked, Cole glanced at the empty can. "Hey, hitter," Cole said while leaning over BitBoy. "Beer me." "You have the grace of a peasant," Sharon said. The machine emitted a steady hum, purging the toxins from BitBoy's system. Emily, her face set with determination, carefully removed the tube from BitBoy's mouth. She moved to the sink, the sound of running water mingling with the crackle of the fire. She scrubbed her hands and glanced over her shoulder, noting Ricardo's handiwork. The kitchen was a scene of organized chaos. Plates piled high with bacon and a mountain of pancakes, while 6 empty beer cans stood sentinel on the counter. "A girl could get used to this," she said, her smile widening as she caught Ricardo's eye. Ricardo leaned against the counter with a beer in hand and wearing a lopsided grin. "Shit, sis," This place is stocked like a bomb shelter. So, I could get used to this too. Across the room, Cole knelt beside Bit-Boy, his rough hands surprisingly gentle as he caressed the small creature. Lulled by the fire's warmth and rhythmic crackling, Bit-Boy's eyes fluttered shut. Cole watched as Bit-Boy's breathing steadied and deepened. He then carefully laid Bit-Boy in a plush dog bed positioned just within the fire's glow. The front door creaked behind, and Sharon stepped in, boasting a devilish grin commanding attention. She moved with deliberate grace, her steps quiet but assured. She placed a hand on Cole's shoulder and drew his gaze away from Bit-Boy. "I have a surprise for you," she said. "Come sit with me and close your eyes." Cole raised an eyebrow, but he complied. Sharon took his hand, her touch light but insistent, and led him towards the kitchen table. He settled into the chair, fingers splayed over his eyes, peeking through them. Sharon gently guided his hand away from his face and pressed it to her chest. He could feel her heart flutter beneath his palm. "Okay, open them," she whispered. He blinked against the light and saw a dark purple jar nestled beside a stack of steaming pancakes, promising something special inside. Cole's eyes softened, and a smile spread across his face. "You spoil me," he said, his voice a mix of affection and awe. "Only because you deserve it," Sharon replied, kissing his forehead. The kiss lingered. As the mid-morning light filtered through the kitchen windows, Emily and Ricardo shared a quiet laugh by the sink. The fire crackled, casting a warm glow over the room, while the tall pines stood guard outside. They found a fleeting moment of peace within these walls amidst the aroma of bacon and pancakes. In their own ways, each of them felt at home. "Sharon, I can't believe you. What must I have done in a past life to earn a woman like you?" Cole said, his hand still resting on her heart. Sharon smiled, squeezing his hand tighter against her chest. "Aaron, I can't believe you. What must I have done in a past life to earn a woman like you?" Cole said, his hand still resting on her heart. Sharon smiled, squeezing his hand tighter against her chest. "I got this at the farmer's market. The last blackberry preserves they had." Quick, open it for me," Ricardo interjected, eager as ever. Cole opened the jar with a satisfying pop. Sharon dipped her finger into the bittersweet jam and then into Cole's mouth. He melted into his chair, savoring the taste, his lips lingering on her finger as she slowly pulled it away. "Jackpot," Ricardo said, a spreading mischievous grin. "I haven't seen you this happy since our first time behind the stick. Let me try that moon goo. Maybe later we can zip around in whatever plane you have hidden here." "I'm not flying," Cole said, standing abruptly. "Not later. Not ever." Ricardo's smile faded. "Then you're not going to like why I'm here," he said, his tone becoming serious. "Although I don't entirely know myself." Sharon fixed her most penetrative glare on Ricardo. "Did you know she's involved with those crackpot collectivists?" Sharon asked. Ricardo's face fell. "Yes, I knew. And you didn't think to tell me?" Cole asked, his voice rising. "It's not my place, Cole. She's an adult and makes her own decisions," Ricardo replied calmly. Emily, who had been quietly listening, suddenly felt the weight of the conversation bearing down on her. She set her fork down on the table, her eyes watering. She stood up without a word and walked to the kitchen sink, her hands moving automatically as she touched the empty plates, scratching the crumbs off pans. She was unconsciously distracting herself from the hot tears burning her face, the fear of the energy crisis, Cole's unrelenting sense of duty, and a room full of people who should mind their own business. Emily grasped the sides of her head, let out a silent scream, and returned to the living room her face red but otherwise composed. She sat on the couch, facing away from her brother. Cole said nothing and continued to pet Bit-Boy, who had joined him on the sofa. His mind is fixated on the letter, and his thumb drives on the table. Until this moment, his thoughts had been on the monkey, pancakes, and the metric volume of fuel needed to reach Marseillero, anything other than what these items held for him. And burn my apartment down when it self-destructs? No thanks, Ricardo said, shaking his head. I don't know what's in there any more than I know how many lives I've saved via lovemaking. In the following pause, Cole scanned their faces, searching for answers and finding only blank stares. Resentment began to simmer in his mind. Emily's gaze wandered around the log cabin, taking in the sight of dirty laundry mounds and empty cans that littered the floor. Sharon and Ricardo looked back at Cole, their expressions unreadable. They can say or do whatever they want. It's been 7 years, Cole said, his frustration boiling over. 7 years. Do they think they can put a leash on me and run me around like a dog? Emily glanced at him, her voice softening. I don't know if I should feel like I'm in danger or satisfied. Cole's heart raced. How do you mean? That's the first real emotion I've seen out of you in months, Emily said with a smile playing on her lips. Tell us you're ready, Sharon demanded, eyes locking onto Cole's. Bitboy turned to look at Cole. The metal implements in his arms twined unnaturally around the muscles. Cole's mind reeled, wondering what secrets the envelope held. At the dining table, Ricardo tried to get Bitboy's attention. Still, the monkey ignored him, perhaps because of Ricardo's earlier abandonment or simply because Bitboy had forgotten him. Instead, Bitboy's eyes remained locked on Cole, his mechanical body whirring and tensing in sync with his master's agitation. Ricardo stood, sighing as he walked from the dining table to the couch, the envelope held out in front of him. He extended the envelope toward Cole, who snatched it from Ricardo's fingers. Cole glanced at Emily and Sharon, then shrugged and extracted crisp white papers from within. 2 small captain insignia tumbled out and landed on his lap as he did. His breath caught, and for a moment, he stared at them, the gleaming symbols of authority and recognition. His fingers hovered over the insignia, eyes widening with longing and disbelief. He picked up the insignia, feeling their cold metal against his skin. He had imagined this moment countless times, but this felt like a cruel bribe. His mind flashed back to the lives lost under his command. The insignia dug into his skin. He tossed them on the table, feigning disinterest, and moved on. The Federation's emblem in the upper left-hand corner of the letter sent a shudder down his spine. Sharon rested her head on her hand, arm draped over the back of the sofa. Her eyes were fixed intently on Cole as his gaze darted across the page, index finger trembling as it followed each line. He began to read aloud, his voice unsteady, the weight of the words sinking in with every syllable. From the office of Federation Chancellor Jeffrey H. DeMint, dear Mr. Nova, the Federation now stands at a critical juncture, and your unparalleled expertise is urgently required. After extensive deliberation, the Council has concluded that your unique qualifications are essential to our mission. Enclosed is a copy of a legally binding document with your signature dated September 12, 2021, which waives your rights as a United States citizen in exchange for your service in the Stellar Council forces. Your duty to the Council remains in effect and paramount. We regret to inform you of the escalating energy shortage crisis, which threatens the very fabric of our society. The severity of this condition is unprecedented, and we seek your immediate involvement with utmost urgency. Your skills and experience make you uniquely positioned to address this dire situation. You are hereby ordered to prepare for immediate deployment. Report to Federal Space Command Headquarters. Be advised that your movements are under constant surveillance. The Federation relies on your swift and unquestioning compliance. The stakes have never been higher, and the survival of humanity rests on your shoulders. This is your moment, Mr. Nova. The world is watching. We need the old Cole Novaeuro, the leader, the hero, the man who can turn the tide. Your legacy awaits. Sincerely, Jeffrey H. DeMint, Federation Chancellor. His face contorted angrily. Cole crumpled the letter and hurled it into a steel garbage pail. Bastards! I need more time, he growled, his voice echoing with frustration. The sudden clatter of dishes from the dining area caught his attention. Where's Bitboy? The macaque perched on the table with a stack of pancakes the size of a tall top hat, clutched in his tiny hands. He grinned sheepishly, crumbs littering his fur. Cole and Emily shared a laugh bubbling up from their mutual despair. Sharon and Ricardo joined in, their laughter tinged with nervousness. Sharon's mirth quickly turned to rage as she noticed a blue trail of stains leading to Bitboy's many fingers and the now empty jar of blackberry preserves. The juice had turned his steel claws a dark blue, with a hint of the color marking his lips and tongue. "You dirty ape! Is nothing sacred to you?" she cried, her voice rising in frustration. Cole turned away from the scene, his smile fading. He strode purposefully to a cluttered desk and jammed the thumb drive into the side of an old laptop. The screen flickered to life. Files opened frenetically across the display in a chaotic frenzy of data. He leaned in, scanning the information with growing unease. Ricardo walked over and peered over Cole's shoulder. The data scrolling on the monitor included information on Cole that he had long buried in the recesses of his memory. Missions, failures, and personal details he wished to forget. Dirt on Ricardo that could bury him twice over, both scandalous and damning. Notes on Emily that reduced her fears to a mere footnote in a much larger, darker narrative of corruption and cover-ups. But one encrypted file, tagged Dark Matter Research, lured Cole in like a dark siren call. Sharon, her curiosity piqued, leaned closer, her breath steady against the back of his neck, eyes locked on the screen. The weight of what they might uncover hung heavily in the air. "Bitboy, play," Cole commanded, his voice a mixture of resolve and dread. The monkey, driven by complex programming, scampered to the laptop. His mechanical fingers moved with precise efficiency, tapping away at the keyboard. Bitboy's eyes glowed with a soft light as he interfaced with the encryption, his body humming with a low mechanical whir. As Bitboy worked, Cole's mind raced. What could be so important that it was hidden behind layers of encryption? The seconds felt like hours as the monkey's limbs moved in a blur of activity. Unable to stay still, Ricardo paced the room, his footsteps adding to the tension. Emily stepped closer, her eyes wide with concern. Finally, the screen blinked, and the files spilled their secrets, line after line of data unfurling before them. Bitboy, his task complete, returned to his feast of pancakes, the glow in his eyes dimming as he disconnected. Cole's eyes darted over the data, absorbing its implications. Although much of it was unintelligible without careful analysis, the narrative suggested the unthinkable. Cole's reckless dance with disaster wasn't just a personal folly euro, it might have birthed the energy crisis. The realization hit him like a gut punch, a cosmic joke with Cole as the punchline. He felt Sharon's hand tighten on his shoulder, her grip a silent affirmation of their shared burden. Cole scrolled through the documents, his face grimmer with each line he read. Detailed logs chronicled the Federation's secretive experiments with early trials, initially promising, had shown the potential to harness dark matter as a nearly infinite energy source. But the risks had been monumental. One log highlighted a pivotal experiment conducted by Dr. Stephen Conrad. The document described how the experiment had gone awry, destabilizing the global energy grid and triggering catastrophic energy surges. Emily leaned over Cole's other shoulder, her eyes scanning the text. "That's why the world's in chaos," she murmured. "They caused it." Cole nodded, his jaw set. The logs detailed how the energy crisis was no mere accident, but a result of the Federation's relentless pursuit of power, their blind ambition leading to the current disaster. Dr. Conrad's disappearance now made sense euro. It was a cover-up, an attempt to bury the truth of the failed experiment that had plunged the world into darkness. As they delved deeper, surveillance reports began to surface. Cole's name appeared frequently. The Federation had been watching him, aware of his expertise and the potential threat he posed. The reports suggested they had planned to leverage his skills, bringing him back into their fold to mitigate the disaster they had created. Sharon's grip on Cole's shoulder tightened. "They've been playing us all along," she whispered, her voice thick with anger. Cole looked at his team and his family and felt a surge of hope. "We can do this," he said firmly. "Together, we can stop them." The firelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, illuminating their determined faces. Cole turned to Bitboy, who had returned to his makeshift bed by the fire, his mechanical limbs finally at rest. Emily's face, now composed, joined them, her eyes reflecting a newfound resolve. Standing by the kitchen counter, Ricardo finished his beer and crushed the can with a loud pop, breaking the silence. "So, what's the plan, Nova?" Ricardo asked, his voice steady but tinged with the gravity of the situation. "We need to understand everything in these files," Cole said. "We have to know what we're dealing with. Then we can figure out how to stop them." Emily spoke up, her voice strong and clear. "I've been involved with the collective. I know people who can help." Ricardo looked at her with a mix of surprise and respect. "You really got involved with those collectivists, huh?" Emily nodded. "They're not all crackpots. Some of them are actually trying to make a difference." Cole felt a surge of pride mixed with worry. "We'll need all the help we can get." Sharon stood up, her face set with determination. "Let's get to work. We've got a lot to do and not much time to do it." As they gathered around the laptop, the fire crackling behind them, the cabin seemed to pulse with a new energy. The quiet refuge had transformed into a war room, and they were ready to face whatever came next. The Federation might have thought they could control Cole Nova. Still, they had underestimated the strength and resolve of those he held dear. Cole glanced at them, seeing the same fire in their eyes that he felt in his own. "Together," he said, his voice firm. "We do this together." Bitboy, his mechanical fingers poised over the keyboard, began working on the decryption. The room fell silent, and each group member focused on their task. As the files started to reveal their secrets, the scope of the Federation's ambition became clear. "Look at this," Emily said, pointing to a series of documents. "They've been experimenting with dark matter for years, using it to create energy-efficient implants and other technologies. But the side effects, they're catastrophic." Ricardo added, "They knew the risks and proceeded anyway. The energy crisis was a direct result of their experiments." Sharon's face paled as she read through the data. "If we don't stop them, the consequences will be unimaginable." Cole looked at his team and his family and felt a surge of hope. "We can do this," he said firmly. "Together, we can stop them." They set their plan into motion, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Federation might have thought they could control Cole Nova. Still, they had underestimated the strength and resolve of those he held dear. The fight for the future of humanity had just begun.
Okay, who's here with me? We've got 28 people, give or take, hanging out here. That was chapter 4. I added a bunch of notes as I was listening to that into Claude to update that because it's right now it sounds like the Federation is the bad guy, and that's not the case. The Federation is a puppet, just like our government is a puppet right now for bad people. The bad people are Alpha Corp, and all that prequel goes much deeper into Alpha Corp and Wilhelm, and also Marcus. I mean, there's some really cool big reveals in Marcus that we've been planting back there further. And I also gave it some notes for Dr. Conrad because you'll see some things at the end of the book that'll make you go back to chapter 2, chapter 3 and go, "Oh, shit, that's what he's talking about." So, yeah, check those out. We will be doing another one here pretty soon. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry about the first half reading and quote and quote. It did get fixed with Claude, and it's still writing along. So, if I got time again later today, we'll jump into chapter 5. That'll be the next one, and so forth. I added the link in Telegram. So if you go to Telegram and you click on this link right here, here is the link to the live document as the book emerges to its final form. There we go. So there's a GitHub link that you guys can all access, and that will actually show you the text of it. And so you can take that file and you can move it into any way that you guys like listening to or reading books. So you can move it into a Word document. You can move it into wherever you listen to do your talk to text. I should probably add a bunch of these people here that have been helping us in the beginning. Like we have Ted Nelson was one of the first people to jump in here. Crispy Man is definitely one of the people here. Oh, Canadian Grateful, didn't mean to do that, but yeah, sure. Crispy Man is one of the main editors. CryptoCat. There he is. There's CryptoCat. And then some of the other people here. We have NT Fryer. Who are some of the other people? HT Armstrong. So Hex T will at him. Red Squirrel will at him. HT Armstrong. Who are some of the other people that dove through this at the very beginning? Here's that chapter, that one. Oh, this is a poem by CryptoCat 46. Beautiful. I'm going to actually delete this whole Airtable thing because I don't even have access to it anymore. So just DM or share your feedback here in chat. See here. Greg Finney claimed chapter 1. Hugh, he's going to want to know about this. Hugh Maitrey. See here, Patrick, Astro Dejogen. Yeah, whatever happened to Patrick? Has anyone heard from Patrick? Do we got proof of life on Patrick? Maybe is he still part of this group? Patrick Astrogen. Where'd he go? I don't think he's even in here anymore. We'll do proof of no work dev. And we'll do, if I can find him here. He might have a different username, which is why it's not popping up. Definitely Casey. We want him to know what's going on. Kickbox dev Harry from Harry Labs. Let him know we're going down. Yeah, Patrick. Let's see if we can at Patrick. Get in touch with him. In a long time. Bowie Show Gates. See here. Cody Smith, one of the earlier authors. Still trying to find Patrick, because he was really into this at the beginning, and then he just kind of fell away. But a lot of, I mean, life happens to a lot of us here. Triple Alliance, one of the allies of this group. Here. Laney's in here. Sloth, Scotty. Heck, we'll do Kool-Aid Crypto, of course. A person that is into building worlds and stories and narrative. Oh, and of course, SJ. Holy cow, how can we not remember SJ, Wild SJ here? Here we go. Is that enough? Is that enough ats? Let's see, one more. Let's see if we can find Patrick here. If not, we'll find someone else that is probably been contributing to the book earlier and is probably interested in seeing what's up. Diehard Hexagon, she's gonna want to know. There we go. I'm not seeing them. There's about 429 members here of Anti-Gravity Saga. I don't know if they're all in this group. But, yeah, no Patrick. Couldn't find Patrick in here, but that's okay. We'll also tag Mr. Rock Jockey. Sure. There we go. So there's that, and we're going to pin this message. Notify the members. There we go. And that's a car alarm. So we got the Claude working on some of these fixes. We will jump into chapter 5 next, and that'll be great. What's up, Harry Labs? I just tagged you in the live document, so you can do that. Very soothing vibe. Thank you very much. It's we're gonna have to work. I mean, eventually, what we're gonna do is we want to go into 11 labs and find out how to work with those and give each character an actual voice. So you'll have characters, you'll have voices, you'll have sound effects and music, and turn it into a whole production, like Theater of the Mind production. And then once we get that down and we're happy with that, we can mix that with the video. So yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a story and a hell of a production. Nobody else in crypto has something this deep, this rich, this this thing that grabs you in the feels. Hexclan, thanks for reposting. Hey, bud. Yeah, so I will catch you guys next time, and we'll just keep being the best damn community in crypto, hands down. See you, bye.